I should have listened to my gut. That's what I tell the women who come to my support group now. When something feels wrong, it probably is, even when you're in love. Especially when you're in love, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 29 years old, a marketing manager at a mid-sized tech company in Seattle. I own a one-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill. I have a master's degree, a decent salary, and before all this happened, I considered myself a pretty good judge of character. I was wrong. I met Michael Anderson on a Tuesday. September 12th, to be exact. I remember because it was raining that constant Seattle drizzle that makes you question why you live in the Pacific Northwest, and I was ducking into a coffee shop to escape it. He held the door for me, smiled, blue eyes that crinkled at the corners, dark hair just slightly too long, like he was overdue for a haircut, but in an attractive way. "After you," he said. His voice was warm, genuine. We ended up in line together, started talking, the usual small talk, the weather, the coffee shop's terrible music choices. He was funny, self-deprecating, asked questions, and actually listened to the answers. When I ordered my usual vanilla latte, he insisted on paying. Let me. It's not every day you meet someone who appreciates good coffee shop debates about whether Nirvana is overplayed. I laughed, gave him my number. Figured why not? That was how it started. Simple, normal, the kind of meet cute people write about. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps others find these stories. We had our first date 3 days later. Dinner at a small Italian place in Fremont. He showed up exactly on time, brought flowers, not roses, sunflowers. "Because you mentioned you like bright things," he'd said. How did he remember that? I'd mentioned it once in passing in that coffee shop conversation. The dinner was perfect. He was perfect. Attentive but not overbearing. Funny but not trying too hard. Asked about my job, my family, my interests. Shared things about himself. Or what I thought were things about himself. He said he worked in software consulting, traveled a lot for work, lived in a small apartment in Belltown. His parents were estranged. Long story, not a great relationship. And he didn't have many close friends because of all the travel. Red flags. Looking back, those were all red flags. But when you're falling for someone, when someone is giving you exactly the attention and affection you've been craving, you don't see red flags. You see explanations, reasons, quirks that make them interesting instead of suspicious. We dated for 3 months before he asked me to be exclusive. By then, I was already in deep. He was everything I'd been looking for, stable, mature, present. He remembered little things. Brought me soup when I had a cold. Sent me funny memes during work. Made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. At 6 months, we moved in together, into my apartment. His lease was up and it made sense, he said. Plus, my place was nicer. Closer to his office. Convenient, another red flag. He never specified where his office was. Never invited me there. Said the company he consulted for was really private about their location because of security. I believed him because I wanted to, because I loved him. We lived together for 6 months before he proposed. It was perfect. He took me to Kerry Park at sunset, got down on one knee with the Seattle skyline glowing behind him. Pulled out a ring 2 carats, he said. Platinum band. Beautiful. "Sarah, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I know we haven't been together that long, but when you know, you know. Will you marry me?" I said yes before he even finished asking. We set a date, May 14th, 6 months away. Enough time to plan, but not so far that we'd overthink it. We booked a venue, a small historic mansion on Queen Anne Hill. Capacity for 150 people. Not huge, but perfect for the intimate wedding I wanted. And that's when things started getting weird. We were making the guest list. I'd invited my parents, My two brothers, my college friends, my work friends. My list was at 70 people. What about your side? I asked, looking at the blank half of our shared spreadsheet. How many people are you thinking? Michael's expression changed. Just for a second, a flicker of something I couldn't read. Then the smile was back. I'm not inviting many people, he said. Maybe 20 work colleagues, a few old friends. What about your family? Parents? Siblings? I told you, my relationship with my parents is complicated. I know, but it's our wedding. Couldn't you try to reach out for this one day? He took my hand, squeezed it. His face was serious. Sarah, I love you, but my parents, they wouldn't approve of us. Of you. They're old-fashioned, close-minded. I don't want their negativity on our special day. What do you mean they wouldn't approve of me? What's wrong with me? Nothing, God, nothing. You're perfect. But they have expectations about who I should marry, and you don't fit their narrow worldview. Trust me, it's better if they're not there. I wanted to ask more, to push, but he looked so uncomfortable, so hurt. Like talking about his parents caused genuine pain, so I dropped it, like I dropped so many things. He added 18 names to the guest list, all men, all people he said were work colleagues or old college friends, no family, no one from his childhood, no one who'd known him before 3 years ago. Red flag. But I told myself some people just have small social circles, especially people who travel for work, especially people with family issues. Then, 3 months before the wedding, I made a mistake. Or maybe the best decision of my life, depending on how you look at it. I was doing laundry. Michael was on one of his work trips. He traveled every other weekend like clockwork, Thursday morning to Sunday evening. Client meetings, he'd say, in Portland or in Vancouver or sometimes in Boise. I found a document in his jeans pocket, had to take it out before washing. It was folded small, a receipt from a dry cleaner. Not unusual except for the address, Spokane, Washington. Michael had never mentioned going to Spokane. All his trips were supposedly to cities within a 3-hour drive for client meetings. Spokane was 4.5 hours away, on the other side of the state. Why would he go there? I almost threw it away. Almost forgot about it, but something made me look at the date. 3 weeks ago. A weekend he'd said he was in Portland. I sat on the bed with that receipt, staring at it, trying to find an innocent explanation. Maybe he'd been in Spokane for a layover? Maybe he'd bought something online from that dry cleaner? Maybe I was making excuses again. I opened my laptop, typed Michael Anderson, Spokane, Washington into Google, not really expecting anything, just curious. The first result was a Facebook profile. Michael Anderson, Spokane, WA. The profile picture was my fiancé, smiling, standing in front of a house, a nice house, bigger than any place he'd told me he'd lived. My hands shook as I clicked. The profile was private. I could only see the profile picture and cover photo. The cover photo was a generic mountain landscape, nothing revealing, but there was a tag. Someone had tagged Michael in a post, a public post. I clicked. It was from a woman. Jennifer Anderson. Her profile picture showed a blonde woman in her early 30s, pretty, smiling. The post was from 2 weeks ago. It said, "Happy anniversary to my amazing husband, 8 years and counting. Love you, Michael." And there was a photo. Michael, my Michael, smiling with this woman, his arm around her, both of them holding champagne glasses. Behind them was a banner, "Happy 8th Anniversary." I stared at the screen. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. It didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. Michael and I had been together a year, living together for 6 months, engaged for 3 months. This photo was from 2 weeks ago. my fiancé, celebrating his 8th wedding anniversary with someone who wasn't me. I should have confronted him immediately, should have called him, demanded answers, but I was in shock. Complete, total, world tilting shock. Instead, I went down a rabbit hole. I searched Jennifer Anderson Spokane, found her Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, built a picture of her life. She was a nurse, worked at Sacred Heart Medical Center, had 2 kids, a boy, 6, a girl, 4, both with Michael's dark hair and blue eyes, both unmistakably his children. Her Instagram was full of family photos. Michael at soccer games, Michael helping with homework, Michael at birthday parties, Michael building a snowman last winter, Michael at Christmas morning, Michael at Easter brunch, Michael living a full, complete, documented life with a wife and children in Spokane, Washington, while living with me in Seattle. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. When I could breathe again, when the shaking stopped enough that I could think, I searched more. Michael's Facebook was sparse, but Jennifer's tags told the story. Posts going back 8 years, wedding photos from 2016, engagement announcement from 2015, dating photos before that. He'd been with her for at least 9 years, married for 8, had 2 children with her, maintained a home, a life, a family. And for the last year, he'd been living with me, planning a wedding with me, promising me forever, while going home to his real family every other weekend. I should have called the police right then, should have changed the locks, should have protected myself, but I needed to understand, needed to know if this was real, if I was losing my mind, if there was some explanation I was missing, so I did something stupid, or brave, or desperate. I decided to go to Spokane, to see this house, this life, to confirm what my gut was screaming, even as my heart begged it not to be true. Michael wouldn't be back until Sunday evening. It was Friday morning. I had 2 days. I called in sick to work, packed a small bag, got in my car, and drove east. The drive to Spokane takes about 4.5 hours under normal conditions. It took me 6. I had to stop twice because I was shaking too badly to drive safely. Had to pull over once to have a complete breakdown on the side of the highway. Had to convince myself 3 times not to turn around. But I kept driving because I had to know. Because uncertainty was worse than any truth could be. I found the address through Jennifer's LinkedIn. She'd posted about moving to a beautiful new home a year ago and tagged the real estate agent who'd helped them. The agent's website had sold properties. I searched until I found a house that matched the one in Michael's Facebook profile picture. 1420 Maple Ridge Drive, Spokane, Washington, 99026. The GPS led me through a neighborhood I couldn't have afforded in my wildest dreams. Not wealthy, wealthy, tree-lined streets, houses with actual names on plaques, yards measured in acres, not feet. These weren't the parents he'd described as estranged and implied were lower middle class with narrow worldviews. These were the parents of someone who grew up with money, real money, old money. I pulled up to the address. My Honda Civic looked like a toy car next to the vehicles in the driveway. A Tesla Model S, a Range Rover, and a third car, a BMW sedan. The house wasn't just nice, it was stunning. 3 stories, stone and wood exterior, perfectly manicured gardens, a circular driveway with actual cobblestones. The front door was solid oak with stained glass panels and a brass knocker shaped like a lion's head. This wasn't the home of estranged, narrow-minded parents Michael never spoke to. This was family money, family home, family legacy. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to decide if I should knock, if I should leave, if I should just call Michael and demand the truth. But I'd driven 4.5 hours. I'd seen the Facebook posts. I'd seen the anniversary photo. I was here. I had to finish this. I got out of the car, legs shaking, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Walked up the stone pathway, past flowers I couldn't name, to that imposing front door. I raised my hand. The brass lion's head knocker was cold under my fingers, heavy. I lifted it, let it fall. 3 solid knocks that echoed, footsteps inside, voices, movement. The door opened. A woman stood there, 50-something, elegant in that way that comes from money and breeding, dark hair styled perfectly, subtle jewelry, a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She looked like she'd just stepped out of a country club luncheon. She smiled at me, polite, curious. "Can I help you?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. What was I supposed to say? "Hi, I'm sleeping with your married son?" "I'm engaged to Michael, surprise." "Did you know your son is a bigamist?" Finally, I managed, "I'm looking for Michael Anderson. Is this the right address?" Her smile faltered, just slightly. "Yes, this is Michael's childhood home. I'm his mother, Catherine, and you are?" "I'm Sarah Mitchell. I'm Michael's fiancé." The smile disappeared completely. Her face went through several emotions in rapid succession: confusion, shock, disbelief. Something that might have been pity. "I'm sorry," she said slowly. "Did you say fiancé?" "Yes. We've been together a year, engaged for 3 months. We're getting married in May." Catherine Anderson stared at me, her hand still on the door. Then she looked past me, at my car in the driveway, at the engagement ring on my finger, back to my face. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're another one." "Another one? Please come inside. There's something you need to see." She stepped back, gestured for me to enter. I should have run, should have gotten back in my car and driven away, but I was frozen, couldn't move except forward. I stepped into the house. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior: marble floors, original artwork on the walls, a chandelier that looked like it belonged in a museum, fresh flowers in a vase on an antique table. Everything screamed wealth, generational wealth. Catherine led me through the foyer, into a living room that could have fit my entire apartment. She gestured to a cream-colored sofa. I sat. My legs wouldn't have held me much longer anyway. She sat across from me, hands folded in her lap, looking at me with such sadness it made my chest hurt. "Sarah," she said, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Has Michael asked you for money? Had access to your bank accounts?" "What?" "No, I mean, we have a joint account for wedding expenses, but that's normal. Why would you? How much is in that account?" "I don't, maybe 45,000. I've been saving for the wedding: dress, venue, catering, flowers. Everything's expensive, and when was the last time you checked the balance?" I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, logged into our joint account, the one I'd set up 6 months ago, the one I'd been depositing money into for our future. Balance: $473. I stared at the screen. That couldn't be right. I'd deposited my last paycheck, $3,000. Just 2 weeks ago. The account should have at least 42,000. "There must be a mistake," I said. My voice sounded far away. "The app must be glitching." Catherine reached into a drawer in the coffee table, pulled out a folder, a thick folder, placed it on the table between us. "Sarah, I need you to look at this. I know it's going to be devastating, but you need to see the truth before he does to you what he's done to 6 other women." She opened the folder. Inside were photographs, documents, printouts, all carefully organized, all labeled. The first photo was Michael, my Michael, standing with Jennifer, the blonde woman from Facebook. They were dressed formally, in a church. She was in a wedding dress. He was in a tuxedo. Wedding photo, from 2016. The next photo, Michael holding a newborn, smiling down at a tiny baby wrapped in blue. "That's our grandson Ryan," Catherine said. "Michael's first child, born in 2018. He has a daughter too, Emma, born in 2020. She showed me more photos. Michael at Christmas, Michael at birthday parties, Michael at the beach, Michael coaching Little League, Michael being a father, a husband, living a completely normal, completely separate life. "Jennifer doesn't know about you," Catherine said, "just like you didn't know about her. Michael is very careful. He keeps his lives separate, always has." "How long—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "How long has he been doing this? Since he was 23, maybe earlier?" "We didn't know at first. He was always good at hiding things, good at lying. It's like a compulsion for him." She pulled out more papers, printouts from news articles, police reports, legal documents. "Jennifer is his legal wife, the mother of his children, but she's not the only woman he's done this to. There was Rebecca, 2014. He got engaged to her while dating Jennifer, stole $70,000 from Rebecca's trust fund, disappeared before the wedding. Then Amanda, 2017, same pattern, engagement, joint bank account, he emptied it. $82,000 gone. Kelsey, 2019, got her to invest in a fake business, $120,000. Diana, 2021, same scheme as you, joint wedding account, $65,000. Michelle, last year, $93,000. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. "And now you, Sarah, number 6. That we know of." I couldn't breathe, couldn't process, couldn't think. But he lives with me in Seattle. We share an apartment. He's there most nights. How does he— "His work trips," Catherine said, "every other weekend. He tells you he's traveling for work. He tells Jennifer he's traveling for work. But those trips, he's going between you and her. Sometimes he's in Spokane with his family. Sometimes he's in Seattle with you. Sometimes, and I'm so sorry to tell you this, he's with other women we don't even know about yet." She pulled out his phone records. The folder was so prepared, so thorough, like she'd been documenting this for years. "See? 2 phones. One registered to his legal name, one to an alias. The one he gave you is the alias line. Jennifer has the legal line. He keeps them completely separate. Never lets either of you see the other phone. 2 phones. He did have 2 phones. Always carried both. Said one was personal and one was work. Red flag. Red flag. Red flag." How many had I missed? "Where does he get the money?" I asked. My voice sounded hollow. "Dead." "If he's stealing from all these women, where does it go?" "Offshore accounts, untraceable. We've tried to track it, tried to report him, but he's smart. He never takes enough to trigger serious investigation, keeps it under certain thresholds, moves money through complex channels. His father was a financial advisor, taught him everything before he died." "Your husband is dead?" 3 years ago, heart attack. Michael changed after that, or maybe he just stopped pretending. Richard would have been devastated to see what his son became. Catherine closed the folder, wiped her eyes. "We've tried everything. Tried to stop him. Tried to get Jennifer to leave him. But she doesn't know about any of it. Michael convinced her his work travel is legitimate. She thinks he's a devoted husband, a good father. She has no idea about you, about the others, about the money. Why haven't you told her?" "We tried. Once, 2 years ago, after we found out about Kelsey. Jennifer didn't believe us, thought we were trying to break them up. Michael convinced her we were lying, created such a good story, showed her fake evidence of his innocence. She hasn't spoken to us since. So you just let him keep doing this?" "No." Catherine's voice broke. "We've been trying to warn women, trying to document everything, trying to build a case the police will actually pursue. But it's not enough. It's never enough. And every time we think we've stopped him, he finds someone new. She looked at me, really looked at me. Sarah, you need to leave him now. Today, change your locks, file a police report, get a restraining order, and whatever you do, don't tell him you came here. Don't let him know you found out. He's dangerous when cornered. Dangerous? What do you mean dangerous? Diana, the woman from 2021, she confronted him, threatened to go to the police, to expose him. Her car was in an accident 2 days later. Brake lines cut. She survived, but barely. Michael had an alibi, was provably in another city. But we know he was involved somehow. My whole body was numb, cold, like I'd been dunked in ice water. This wasn't just fraud, wasn't just a con man. This was, Catherine, I need to use your bathroom. She pointed down the hall. I ran, made it just in time before throwing up again. Everything I'd eaten that morning, then dry heaves, then sitting on the cold tile floor, shaking, trying to breathe. Someone knocked. Sarah, are you okay? I wasn't okay, would never be okay again, but I couldn't stay in this bathroom forever. I stood, rinsed my mouth, stared at my reflection. The same face I'd seen this morning, but everything behind it had changed. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. I went back to the living room. Catherine was on the phone. She hung up when she saw me. I called my lawyer. She said, she's going to help you. Pro bono, getting restraining orders, filing charges, whatever you need. I don't understand. I said, why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Because you're a victim. Because my son did this to you. And because... She paused, swallowed hard. Because I raised him. I must have done something wrong, must have missed something, and I can't fix him. But maybe I can help the women he hurts. I sat back down, felt the weight of the engagement ring on my finger, the fake engagement ring. Because, of course, it was fake. Everything was fake. The ring, I said. He told me it cost $10,000, 2 carats, platinum. Catherine sighed. May I see it? I slid it off, handed it to her. She examined it for about 3 seconds. Cubic zirconia, maybe $50. The band is silver, not platinum. I'm so sorry. Of course it was. Of course. I started laughing, couldn't stop. Hysterical laughter that turned into sobs. Catherine came to sit beside me, put her arm around me, let me cry on her expensive cashmere sweater. When I could breathe again, she asked, what do you want to do? I want to call the police, file a report, get my money back, make sure he never does this to anyone else. Okay, we'll do that, but Sarah, you need to be careful. Don't confront him directly. Don't go back to the apartment alone. He's at work right now, isn't he? One of his trips? He said he was in Portland, client meetings, coming back Sunday evening. He's in Spokane with Jennifer and the kids. There's a soccer game this afternoon, Ryan's team. Michael never misses them. The soccer games, the work trips, all lies, all just lies. I need to call him, I said. Need to hear him try to explain this. Sarah, I don't think that's... But I was already dialing. The phone he'd given me to use. The one for emergencies only because his work phone was always on silent during meetings. It rang 4 times. Then, Sarah? What's wrong? Are you okay? His voice. The same voice that had told me he loved me, that had proposed, that had whispered sweet things in the dark. I'm with your mother, I said. My voice was steady, cold. I surprised myself with how calm I sounded. Silence, complete silence. I could hear breathing, but no words. Michael, I'm at your childhood home, the mansion in Spokane, meeting your mother, Catherine, looking at photos of your wife, Jennifer, and your children, Ryan and Emma. More silence. Then, Sarah, Where exactly are you? I told you, your parents' house, 1420 Maple Ridge Drive. Jesus Christ. Sarah, listen to me very carefully. You need to leave right now. My mother is, she's not well. She's been fixated on. Michael, stop. I've seen the photos, the wedding certificate, the birth certificates, the bank records, the police reports from your other victims. I know everything. A long pause. Then his voice changed. Not warm anymore. Not kind. Something flat. Cold. Almost mechanical. You shouldn't have gone there, Sarah. Where are you really? That doesn't matter now. It does to me. Are you in Portland? Or are you at your son's soccer game in Spokane? Another pause. Then, how much of the money did you transfer? All of it, everything I'd saved. $45,000 gone. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I was going to pay you back. After the wedding, after we combined assets. It was just a short-term loan. A loan you never asked for, from an account you emptied without telling me, while planning to marry me, despite already having a wife. Sarah, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're a con artist, a thief, a bigamist, and according to your mother, I'm number 6. 6 women you've done this to. My mother is lying. She's been trying to ruin my life for years, ever since my father died. She's never forgiven me for... For what? For being a criminal? For stealing from women you claim to love? For abandoning your own children? I don't abandon my children. I'm a good father. I'm there every weekend. He stopped, realizing what he'd just admitted. So you admit it, I said. You admit Jennifer and the kids are real, that you've been lying to me for a year. No answer. Michael, where is my money? I don't have it anymore. Where is my money? I invested it in a business opportunity. It's tied up right now, but in a few months, you spent it on your other life, on your real family, didn't you? Sarah, please, let me explain. If you just... I hung up, turned off the phone, handed it to Catherine. He's going to call back, and I can't talk to him anymore. She took the phone. You don't have to. The lawyer's on her way. We're going to handle this. The lawyer arrived 30 minutes later. Victoria Chen. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. All business. She sat me down, took my statement, every detail, from the coffee shop meeting to the joint account, to this moment. This is a clear case of fraud, she said. Multiple counts, grand larceny, potentially bigamy, depending on whether he filed for marriage licenses with you. Do you have any documentation? We applied for a license last month. It's at my apartment. Okay, don't go back there alone. We'll arrange police escort. For now, I'm filing emergency restraining order and police report for the theft. Catherine provided all her documentation. The photos, the police reports from other victims, bank records she'd somehow obtained, years of evidence she'd been collecting. Why didn't you report this before? Victoria asked. We tried multiple times, but Michael's smart, keeps everything under federal investigation thresholds, uses aliases, moves money through complex channels, and he's charming. Convinces police there's been a misunderstanding, gets restraining orders dropped. We need something ironclad. Well, now we have it, Victoria said. Multiple victims, pattern of behavior, financial records, and a willing witness who can testify. She looked at me. Sarah, are you willing to testify? To see this through? It won't be easy. He'll try to discredit you, say you're lying, claim you gave him the money willingly. It could take months, maybe years. I thought about the other women. Rebecca, Amanda, Kelsey, Diana, Michelle. All the ones whose stories I'd seen in that folder. All the ones who'd been where I was. All the ones who'd lost money and time and trust. And Jennifer, his wife, who didn't even know she was married to a monster. Yes, I said, I'll testify. I'll do whatever it takes. Victoria smiled. Good. Then let's destroy him. We spent the next 3 hours at the police station, filing reports, giving statements, providing evidence. The detective assigned to the case was a woman in her 40s, Detective Sarah Brennan. She'd actually worked one of Michael's previous cases, Amanda's, from 2017. I knew that bastard was running a con, she said, but we couldn't prove it. Amanda dropped the charges, said she'd given him the money as a gift. I always knew he'd gotten to her somehow. He threatened her, Catherine said, told her if she pursued charges, he'd release personal information. Photos. She was embarrassed, scared, so she backed down. Well, he's not getting away this time, Detective Brennan said. We have multiple victims now, a pattern, financial records, and a witness who's willing to fight. She looked at me. Sarah, I want you to know this won't be easy. He's going to try to intimidate you, contact you, offer to pay you back if you drop charges. You need to be prepared. I am. Good. Because we're going after him for everything: fraud, theft, bigamy, identity fraud. He's using aliases, which adds federal charges. We're talking serious prison time if we can make it all stick. She pulled out a map, pointed to locations across Washington state and into Oregon and Idaho. We think he's been operating in a tri-state area, targeting professional women, always moving money through online transfers so there's no paper trail at single bank. He's smart, but he's also getting sloppy. The fact that he let you find his parents' address, that's a mistake. Maybe he's getting cocky. The police put out a warrant for Michael's arrest. Fraud, grand larceny, multiple counts. Bail set at $250,000. They found him 3 days later at the Seattle-Tacoma airport. He'd packed a bag, bought a one-way ticket to Vancouver, was planning to disappear into Canada. The arrest made the local news. Software consultant arrested for multi-state fraud scheme. His photo, the same photo from our engagement announcement, on every channel. My phone exploded with calls. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone who'd known about our engagement, everyone who'd been planning to come to the wedding. I turned it off, couldn't deal with the questions, the pity, I always knew something was off about him, comments that definitely weren't true. I stayed with Catherine for a week. She insisted, said I shouldn't be alone, shouldn't go back to the apartment until Michael was officially in custody and couldn't make bail. We became friends in that strange way that trauma bonds people. She told me about Michael's childhood, about the warning signs she'd missed, about the guilt she carried. He was always charming, she said, even as a child, could talk his way out of anything. We thought it was confidence, intelligence. We encouraged it, sent him to the best schools, taught him about money management, business. Never thought he'd use those skills to hurt people. On day 4, Jennifer showed up. She'd seen the news. The police had contacted her, told her about the other women, about me, about everything Michael had been doing. She stood on Catherine's doorstep, shell-shocked, broken, holding the hands of 2 small children who didn't understand why Mommy was crying. "Is it true?" she asked. "Is Sarah real? Are the others real?" Catherine pulled her into a hug. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Jennifer saw me through the doorway. Our eyes met. 2 women who'd both loved the same man, both been betrayed by him, both victims. "You're Sarah," she said. "I'm Sarah. He told me about you after his arrest. Said you seduced him, that you were lying about the engagement, that you were trying to frame him." "I'm not lying." She looked at my left hand, at the tan line where the fake ring had been. At the engagement ring I'd since had evaluated and confirmed as worthless cubic zirconia. "I believe you," she said, "because he told me the same things about the others, and I always believed him. I always took his side." She started crying. "I'm such an idiot. 8 years. We have 2 children, and the whole time he was—" Catherine took the kids to play in the backyard, gave Jennifer and me privacy. We sat in the living room, where I'd sat a week ago when my world ended, where hers was ending now. How long were you together? She asked. A year. Lived together 6 months. Engaged 3 months. Did he tell you about me? No. Said his parents were estranged. That he wasn't close to anyone. I didn't know you existed until I came here. He told me he traveled for work. Software consulting. Gone every other week. I never questioned it. The money was good. He seemed happy. The kids adore him. She wiped her eyes. How do I tell them their father is a criminal? That everything they thought about him was a lie? I don't know. I'm so sorry. We sat in silence, two victims of the same con, different circumstances, same devastation. The detective said there are 6 of us, Jennifer said. 6 women he did this to, plus me. 7. How does someone do that? How does someone lie to 7 women and not feel anything? I don't think he feels things like we do. I think he sees people as resources, tools, things to be used. The detective also said he stole from all of you, hundreds of thousands of dollars total. Where did it all go? I'd been wondering the same thing. The police were investigating, tracking accounts, following money trails. The answer came 2 weeks later. Detective Brennan called, asked Catherine and me to come to the station. She had financial records spread across a conference table, printouts, bank statements, wire transfer documentation. We found where the money went, she said, or most of it anyway. She pointed to the records. Michael has been running an investment scam. He takes the money he steals from women, funnels it through fake companies, then invests it in offshore accounts he controls. He's been doing this for at least 6 years. How much total? Catherine asked. As far as we can confirm, $283,000 from 6 victims. Your money, Sarah, plus 5 others. Can we get it back? Some of it, maybe half. The offshore accounts are tricky. We're working with federal authorities, but it'll take time. What about charges? I asked. Oh, we have plenty. Wire fraud, bank fraud, identity theft, computer fraud, bigamy in states where that's prosecutable. The DA is going for the maximum on everything. How much time? If we get convictions on all counts, he's looking at minimum 8 years, possibly 15 depending on how the federal charges play out. 8 to 15 years. It should have felt like justice, like enough, but it didn't. Because years in prison wouldn't give me back the year I lost, wouldn't restore the money, wouldn't fix the damage to my ability to trust anyone ever again. The trial was set for 6 months later. November. Plenty of time for both sides to prepare. Michael's lawyer tried every trick, claimed I'd given him the money willingly, claimed our relationship was troubled and I was seeking revenge, claimed his mother had manipulated me, claimed everything was a misunderstanding. The prosecution had too much evidence. 6 victims who all told the same story. Bank records that proved theft, not gifts. Michael's own calls and texts that contradicted his story. And Jennifer, who testified about his lies and his double life. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I testified for 6 hours over 2 days. Told the jury everything. The coffee shop meeting, the romance, the engagement, the red flags I ignored, the discovery, the stolen money. Michael's lawyer cross-examined me. Tried to make me look vindictive. Tried to suggest I'd known about Jennifer all along and was part of some elaborate scheme. Tried to shake my testimony, but I'd practiced, I'd prepared, and I told the truth. Simple, clear, devastating truth. The other victims testified too. Rebecca, Amanda, Kelsey, Diana, Michelle, each with the same story, each with the same devastation, each confirming the pattern. Michael took the stand in his own defense. Big mistake. He was smooth, charming, explained away each victim as a misunderstanding, a business deal gone wrong, a relationship that ended badly. But under cross-examination, he fell apart, contradicted himself, got caught in lies, lost his composure when the prosecutor showed him evidence of his offshore accounts. Mr. Anderson, can you explain why you needed 6 different identities? Those aren't identities, those are business entities. Business entities with social security numbers, with driver's licenses, with complete fabricated backgrounds? That's not, I was advised by my lawyer to. He couldn't finish. Knew anything he said would incriminate him further. The jury deliberated 4 hours, came back with guilty verdicts on all counts. Sentencing was 2 weeks later. The judge was not sympathetic. Mr. Anderson, you systematically targeted vulnerable women. You lied to them, stole from them, destroyed their ability to trust. You did this not out of desperation or need, but out of greed and malice. You have shown no remorse, no recognition of the harm you've caused. You are a danger to society. Michael Anderson, 8 years federal prison for wire fraud and identity theft, 5 years state prison for theft and fraud to run consecutively. Total, 13 years, no parole before serving at least 10, plus restitution. He was ordered to pay back every dollar he'd stolen. $283,000, plus court costs, plus damages. The courtroom was packed. All 6 victims, Jennifer, Catherine, press, people who'd followed the case. When the sentence was read, I felt empty. Not relief, not joy, just emptiness. 13 years wouldn't give me back my year, wouldn't restore my savings, wouldn't fix the damage, but it would keep him from doing this to someone else. The courtroom was packed. All 6 victims, Jennifer, Catherine, press, people who'd followed the case. When the sentence was read, I felt empty. Not relief, not joy, just emptiness. 13 years wouldn't give me back my year, wouldn't restore my savings, wouldn't fix the damage, but it would keep him from doing this to someone else. After sentencing, the victims gathered in the hallway. We'd been through this together, but had never really talked as a group, just given our individual testimonies, passed each other in court, nodded in acknowledgement. Rebecca approached me first. She was the oldest of us at 43, an accountant, professional, composed, but her eyes were red. "Thank you," she said, "for not dropping the charges, for following through. When he came after me in 2014, I was too scared, too embarrassed, and he got away. I'm sorry you went through that. Don't be sorry, be proud. You got him. You got justice for all of us." Amanda joined us, 36, a graphic designer. She'd lost $82,000, her life savings. "I keep thinking about what I could have done with that money," she said. "The house I could have bought, the business I could have started, the life I could have had, and instead it's gone into his fucking offshore accounts that will probably never fully recover." Kelsey was quiet. 31, a veterinarian. He'd gotten her to invest in a fake animal shelter. $120,000 of donor money, money that wasn't even hers. "I had to pay it back," she said. "The donors, it took me 3 years. I'm still paying because I vouched for him. I trusted him. And people trusted me." Diana limped slightly. 38, a real estate agent. The woman whose brake lines had been cut after she threatened to expose Michael. "I can't prove it was him," she said. "The police couldn't prove it. He was in Vancouver when it happened, had hotel receipts, video footage, a perfect alibi. But I know he paid someone, and I know if I died, he would have just moved on to the next woman." Michelle was the youngest at 27, a nurse. He'd gotten $93,000 from her through a combination of joint accounts and fake medical emergency loans. "My parents told me not to trust him," she said. "They said something was off. I thought they were being overprotective. Thought they didn't want me to be happy. I haven't told them the full story yet. Can't face the "we told you so." And Jennifer, 33, his legal wife, the mother of his children, the woman who'd lived the lie longest. "I thought I had it all," she said. "A husband, a family, a nice house, stability. Turns out I had a con artist who was running 7 different lives and saw me as his home base, his cover story, the legitimate face he showed the world." We stood there, 7 women, connected by trauma, by betrayal, by the same lying, stealing, manipulative man. "We should exchange numbers," Rebecca said. "Stay in touch, support each other through whatever comes next." So we did, created a group chat, called it Survivors, because that's what we were, not victims anymore. Survivors. That night, all 6 victims, 7 including Jennifer, met for dinner, a strange gathering of women connected by trauma. The restaurant was quiet, private room in the back. None of us wanted to be in public. None of us wanted to explain to curious strangers what we were celebrating, if you could call it that. We ordered wine, then decided alcohol wasn't the answer, and switched to tea and coffee. Sat around a large table, strangers who knew each other's most painful secrets. Rebecca started. "I want to tell you all something. Something I've never told anyone except my therapist. When Michael and I were together, or when I thought we were together, he convinced me I was going crazy. Gaslighting, my therapist called it. He'd move my things, then deny it. Tell me I was forgetting conversations we never had. Make me doubt my own memory, my own sanity." Amanda nodded. "He did that to me too. Told me I was paranoid when I questioned where he was. Called me insecure when I asked about his past. Made me feel like I was the problem for wanting basic honesty." "He recorded me," Kelsey said quietly. "Without my knowledge, intimate moments, private conversations, then threatened to release them if I went to the police. That's why I dropped the charges. Because I was terrified of my private life becoming public." We all stared at her. That level of violation, that evil. "Did you tell the prosecutor?" I asked. "Yes, but he'd already deleted them, or claimed he had. There's no proof they existed, just my word, which he said was unreliable because I was emotionally unstable." Diana set down her coffee. Her hands were shaking. "After my brake lines were cut, I had a private investigator look into Michael. The PI found evidence he'd been researching how to cause car accidents, how to make them look like accidents, internet searches, deleted browser history he thought was gone but wasn't." "Did you give that to the police?" Rebecca asked. "Yes. They said it wasn't enough. Circumstantial. Could have been researching for any reason. Could have been curiosity. Couldn't prove intent. Couldn't prove he'd hired someone to do it, so they let it drop." Michelle pulled out her phone. "I have something to show you all, but it's really bad. Are you okay seeing something triggering?" We looked at each other, nodded. We'd been through hell. A little more wouldn't break us now. She pulled up a video, turned the phone so we could all see. It was Michael, in what looked like a hotel room, talking to someone off camera. The audio was muffled, but we could make out some words. "How many does that make? 6? 7? A woman's laugh. "Not one of us. Someone else. "You're going to get caught eventually, you know that, right?" "Nah, they're too stupid, too desperate. See a handsome guy who pays attention to them and they just open their wallets." "What about that nurse? Michelle? She seems smart." "She's easy. Just gotta play the struggling artist card. Women love that shit. Thinking they're helping. Thinking they're special." The video ended. Michelle was crying. That was from a year ago. His friend sent it to me anonymously after the arrest. Said he thought I should know who I was defending. We sat in silence, processing that level of contempt, that cruelty. talking about us like we were marks, like we were nothing. He's a psychopath, Jennifer said. Her voice was flat, dead. I've been reading about it, working with a therapist who specializes in psychopathic partners. She says all the signs are there: superficial charm, lack of empathy, pathological lying, manipulation, no remorse. Can psychopathy be treated? Amanda asked. No, that's the thing. It's not like depression or anxiety. There's no therapy that fixes it, no medication. They just are what they are, and they get better at hiding it as they get older. Catherine had told me similar things about how she'd taken Michael to therapists as a teenager, about how he'd charmed them all, convinced them he was fine, that his mother was overreacting, that he was just a normal kid with no normal teenage problems. And all the while he'd been stealing, lying, manipulating, building the skills he'd use on us years later. I want to start something, Rebecca said. A support group for other women like us, romance scam victims, financial abuse survivors. We can't be the only ones. And if we can help even one person avoid what we went through, I'm in, I said immediately. The others agreed. All 7 of us, committed to turning our trauma into purpose. We started meeting the next week, borrowed space from a community center, put up flyers, posted on social media, reached out to therapists and victim advocates. The first meeting, we expected maybe 5 people, maybe 10 if we were lucky. 37 women showed up. 37 women with similar stories. Different details, different men, but the same pattern, the same devastation. One woman, Patricia, 63 years old, had lost her entire retirement savings, $400,000, to a man who'd promised to marry her, who'd convinced her to liquidate her 401k to invest in his startup, who'd disappeared the day the money cleared. Another woman, Jade, 24, had been catfished for 2 years, never met the man in person, sent him $60,000 over time for various emergencies, medical bills, family crisis, business opportunities, all lies. The man in the photos wasn't even the man she'd been talking to. Maria, 41, had been married to her con artist for 9 years, had 3 children with him, discovered he had another family in Mexico, another wife, another 4 children, was dividing his time and stealing from both families, story after story, pattern after pattern, all different, all the same. The epidemic was bigger than we'd realized. Romance scams cost victims billions of dollars a year, but more than money, they cost trust, identity, the ability to believe in love. Our support group grew. By month 2, we had 75 members. By month 6, 130. We had to split into multiple groups, form subcommittees, develop resources. I became the primary facilitator. Never thought I'd be here. Never thought I'd turn my biggest trauma into my greatest purpose. But here I was. I went back to work 3 months after the trial. My boss had been understanding, gave me paid leave, supported me through everything. But going back was hard. Everyone knew. Everyone had seen the news. Everyone had opinions about how I should have known, about what red flags I'd missed. I always thought there was something off about him, Karen from accounting said in the break room, loudly, while I was right there. She hadn't thought that. She'd loved Michael, had commented on our engagement announcement about what a perfect couple we were. But hindsight gives everyone perfect vision. I ignored it, focused on work, rebuilt my professional reputation, proved I was more than just that woman who got scammed. My apartment, our apartment, I couldn't stay there. Too many memories, too much contamination. I broke the lease, paid the penalty, moved to a smaller place across town, sold or donated most of the furniture, anything he'd touched, anything we'd bought together. Started over with IKEA basics and slowly built up from there. The hardest part was the emotional rebuilding. The therapy helped, the support group helped, but there were still dark moments. Moments when I'd see a man who looked like Michael and my heart would race. When I'd get a message from an unknown number and panic. When someone would be nice to me and I'd immediately question their motives. Trust, once shattered, doesn't heal quickly. It heals in fits and starts. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Progress that doesn't feel like progress until you look back and realize how far you've come. I started dating again a year after the trial. Casual coffee dates through apps, very carefully vetted people, very transparent conversations about my history. Most guys ran when I explained about Michael, about the trial, about being scammed. They'd say they understood, then never call back. I didn't blame them. Who wants to date someone with that much baggage, that much trauma, that many trust issues? But a few understood. A few stuck around. A few saw past the trauma to the person I was trying to become. Daniel was one of them. We met at a bookstore, both reaching for the same book. Both laughed about the cliché meet cute, exchanged numbers. On our first date, I told him everything, up front, all of it. Figured if he was going to run, better to know early. He didn't run. He listened, asked questions, shared his own story, a difficult divorce, a custody battle, his own trust issues. We're all carrying something, he said. Might as well carry it together. We've been together 6 months now, taking it slow. He's met my friends, my family, comes to the support group sometimes as a guest speaker, talking about how to support partners who've been through trauma. He's patient with my bad days, my moments of panic, my need to verify everything, my hypervigilance around finances. I'm not him, he says when I apologize for being difficult. You don't have to keep proving I'm trustworthy. I'll just keep being trustworthy until you believe it. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But I'm trying, because Michael doesn't get to destroy my future along with my past. Catherine and I talk weekly. She's become something like a second mother, fills some of the gap left by my own mother who lives across the country and doesn't fully understand what I went through. Catherine still carries guilt about Michael, about what he became, about what she must have done wrong as a parent. I tell her what my therapist told me. You can't parent psychopathy away. If someone is fundamentally broken, love alone won't fix them. She's channeling the guilt into advocacy now, working with other parents whose children are criminals, helping them process the complex grief of losing a child who's still alive but unrecognizable. People understand when your child dies, she told me once. They send flowers, they say they're sorry, they acknowledge your loss. But when your child becomes a monster, people blame you, ask what you did wrong, treat you like you're complicit. The grief is just as real, but nobody validates it. She's writing a book about it, Loving the Unlovable Parents of Adult Criminals. I'm helping her edit. Might write a foreword about my perspective as a victim. How I don't blame her. How loving your child doesn't mean condoning their crimes. Jennifer divorced Michael 6 months after his sentencing. She'd tried to make it work. For the kids. Thought maybe she could do prison visits, keep the family together somehow. But her therapist helped her see the truth. Michael had never loved her, had never loved anyone, had seen her as a useful cover story, a home base for his cons, a legitimate face to show the world. She filed for divorce, full custody. He didn't contest it, probably knew he'd lose, probably didn't care. The kids were never really important to him anyway. Jennifer remarried last year to a high school teacher she'd known for years, someone stable, kind, transparent, someone who knew her full story and loved her anyway. Her kids are adjusting. Ryan, now 8, still asks about his dad sometimes. Emma, 6, barely remembers him. They go to therapy, process the abandonment, the lies, The confusion of learning their father is in prison. It's hard, but they're resilient. Kids are, and Jennifer is building a stable, honest life for them, away from Michael's toxicity. Michael's in federal prison in Montana, medium security. He'll serve at least 10 years before parole eligibility. He writes to me sometimes. Letters that arrive at my lawyer's office, I don't read them. Victoria opens them, scans them for legal relevance, then files them away. She tells me they're always the same. Apologies that don't sound genuine, explanations that contradict each other, requests for contact, for forgiveness, for another chance. He's trying to manipulate you even from prison, Victoria said. Trying to get his hooks back in. Don't give him the satisfaction of a response. I don't. Haven't responded once in 2 years. Won't respond for the next 8 years either. He's tried several appeals, argued the sentence was too harsh, that he'd been convicted on circumstantial evidence, that his constitutional rights were violated, all denied, every single one. The conviction stands, the sentence stands, justice stands. Sometimes late at night, when I can't sleep, I think about what I'd say if I saw him again. If I had 5 minutes in a room with Michael Anderson and could say anything without consequence. I've imagined it 1,000 times, screaming at him, demanding to know how he could do what he did, why he targeted me, if any of it was ever real. But I know the truth. None of it was real. Every word was calculated. Every gesture was manipulation. Every moment was performance. And asking why gives him too much importance, suggests his reasons matter, that he's complex and deep and worth understanding. He's not. He's just a predator who found vulnerable prey. And I was prey for a while, but not anymore. 2 years out, I'm rebuilding. My savings are back to 20,000, not where they were, but growing. I'm maxing out my 401k, being smarter with money, more cautious, more protective. My credit score recovered from the joint accounts he'd opened without my full knowledge. Took a year of disputes and documentation, but I got there. My career is thriving. I was promoted to senior marketing manager 6 months ago, leading a team, making decisions, proving my judgment isn't permanently broken just because I was fooled once. The support group is thriving too. We have 183 members now, meet in 3 different locations, have a website, a hotline, resources for victims and their families. We've helped 12 women leave situations before money was stolen, identified red flags early, connected them with resources, saved them from becoming victims. That's 12 women who won't go through what we went through, 12 women who will keep their savings, their trust, their belief in love. That number makes everything worth it. Every painful testimony, every triggering trial moment, every sleepless night. If we can save even one person, it matters. I speak at conferences now about financial abuse, about romance scams, about recognizing red flags and trusting your gut. People ask me, what's the number one red flag? What should people watch for? And I tell them, it's not one thing. It's a pattern. But if I had to choose one thing, isolation. If someone is trying to separate you from friends, family, independent verification of reality run. That's the foundation of every con. Cutting off your support system so you only have them to rely on. Other red flags we teach: love bombing, excessive attention and affection early on, moving too fast, making you feel like you found your soulmate immediately, vague background, can't meet friends or family, doesn't have photos from their past, can't verify their history, financial pressure, asking for money early, creating emergencies that require your help, gaining access to accounts, inconsistent stories, details that don't line up, explanations that change, caught in lies but always has a reason, gaslighting, making you doubt your memory, your perception, your sanity, making you feel crazy for having legitimate concerns, missing social media, or carefully curated social media with no real personal content, no tags from friends, no authentic life documented. 2 phones, excessive privacy around devices, calls they won't take in front of you, messages they hide. The list goes on. 50 red flags we've compiled from our collective experience, 50 warning signs that something's wrong. Not everyone who shows one of these is a con artist, but if you're seeing multiple consistently, trust that. Trust your gut. Trust the voice saying something's not right. Because that voice, that instinct, it's trying to protect you, and you should listen. I wish I'd listened 2 years ago when my gut said Michael's story didn't add up, when I felt uncomfortable about never meeting his parents, when something felt off about his work trips. But I didn't. I wanted to believe. I wanted the love to be real. I wanted to trust, and that's okay. Being trusting isn't a flaw. Being hopeful isn't stupid. Wanting love isn't weak. The flaw was his. The evil was his. The choice to hurt people was his. I was just someone who got caught in his orbit, like Amanda and Rebecca and Kelsey and Diana and Michelle and Jennifer, like the dozens of women in our support group, like the thousands of victims we'll never meet. We're not stupid. We're not weak. We're not to blame. We're survivors, and we're healing together. If you're reading this and thinking that could never happen to me, you're wrong. It can happen to anyone, smart people, successful people, cautious people. It doesn't discriminate. If you're reading this and thinking, that's happening to me right now, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, to local victim services, to support groups like ours. You're not alone. You're not crazy. And you can get out. If you're reading this and thinking, I already went through this, I see you, I believe you. It wasn't your fault. And there's healing on the other side of the pain. 2 years out, I'm not fully healed. Maybe I never will be. Maybe the scars are permanent. But I'm okay with that. Because scars mean you survived. Scars mean you fought. Scars mean you're still here, still standing, still trying. And that's enough. Michael Anderson got 13 years, but I got my life back, my future back, my hope back, and in the end, that's the real justice. He's locked up, and I'm free, finally, truly free. If this story touched you, please share it. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment about your own experience or what you learned, because the more we talk about these scams, the more we raise awareness, the fewer victims there'll be. And maybe, just maybe, we can stop the next Michael Anderson before he destroys the next woman's life. Thank you for listening, for believing, for supporting survivors. We're stronger than we know, and together we're unstoppable. That was 2 years ago. We meet every Thursday. Not just us 7 anymore. We've grown, 23 members now, all victims of romance scams, all trying to heal, all learning to trust again. I'm the group leader. Never thought I'd be here. Never thought I'd turn my trauma into purpose. But here I am. I rebuilt my savings, slowly. Got some money back from the restitution order. Not all of it, but enough. I went to therapy, weekly at first, then bi-weekly, then monthly, processing the betrayal, the lies, the violation of trust. I dated again, carefully, very carefully, verified everything, checked backgrounds, asked questions, trusted my gut. And 6 months ago, I met Daniel, a high school teacher, divorced, 1 kid, completely transparent about everything in his life. We're taking it slow, very slow, but he's patient, understanding, knows my history, respects my caution. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. But I'm trying, because Michael doesn't get to destroy my future along with my past. Catherine and I talk weekly. She's become something like a second mother. She still carries guilt about Michael, about what he became, but she's channeling it into advocacy, working with other parents whose children are criminals, helping them process the guilt and grief. Jennifer divorced Michael, remarried last year to a genuinely good man. Her kids are adjusting. It's hard. They still ask about their dad sometimes, but she's building a stable, honest life for them. Michael's in federal prison in Montana. He writes to me sometimes. I don't read the letters. Send them straight to my lawyer unopened. He's tried several appeals, all denied. He'll be in prison until at least 2034. By then, he'll be 47. I'll be 41. A whole decade of his life gone because he couldn't stop lying, couldn't stop stealing, couldn't see people as anything other than marks. Sometimes I think about what red flags I missed, what I should have seen, what I could have done differently. But the truth is, con artists are good at what they do. That's why they're successful. They target the right people, say the right things, create the right personas. It's not the victim's fault for believing. It's the con artist's fault for lying. That's what I tell the women in my support group when they blame themselves, when they say, I should have known, when they carry shame for being deceived. You're not stupid for believing someone who lied skillfully. You're human for hoping love was real. If this story resonated with you, please share it, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel. Because romance scams are everywhere. They're increasing. And the more people know about the tactics, the warning signs, the red flags, the fewer victims there'll be. Trust your gut. Verify everything. And remember, if something feels wrong, it probably is. Even especially when you're in love.